Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. This is the Microsoft 365 Platform Community Call for May 10th, 2022. I am Brian T. Jackett, your host for today. On today's agenda, we've got two great presentations we're doing with Namrata talking a little bit about extending Teams search-based special extensions into Outlook, as well as David talking a little bit about Azure Communication Services and integrating that with your website. Before we get to those, though, we'll do a quick little round of news in the Microsoft 365 platform area. We'll talk about our monthly contributors. We thank everyone for joining in for those things. And we'll do our together mode picture as usual. Now, whether you are new to the Microsoft 365 developer platform or you're an old hat, lots of great different resources available to you. We have two different video channels that you can take a look into. There is the Microsoft 365 developer videos, a little more of the official videos out there for walking you through different tutorials or explain different topics for you, as well as the Microsoft 365 community videos, where a lot of our community calls, such as this one, any of the recordings will be posted to, so you can actually go back and see different events and weekly highlights that are out there. As well, a lot of the things that are available on M365 developer platform are open source. So if you'd like to be able to contribute back, whether it's documentation, whether it's issues, whether it's actually fixing some things in some of the code that's out there, we'd love to have your support out there. There's a very broad community of folks. Some of them we'll actually talk about a little bit later on in our monthly recap. Lots of great ways to be able to plug into this. You can find the links on the page on here. And also, if you're looking for sample galleries, it's great to be able to see things in demos or to hear about them on our calls here. But we also have ways for you to actually go and test these things out in your own environments. So if you're working with team solutions, if you're building SharePoint Framework solutions, Power Platform, and more, we've got lots of different galleries available to you. And as always, if you don't want to get overwhelmed by all these different URLs that are out there, we do have our one-stop shop, aka.ms/m365pnp, where you can find all of the different meeting invites, all the different resources, links, and so forth. Great way to get plugged into the environment and be able to contribute back in. Speaking of the various different developer community calls, this is the Microsoft 365 platform call. This is a weekly call. Do note that we will be going on summer break, just an early heads up on this. That'll be happening from July 1st through August 31st. So if you are looking for this call, we will not be having our regular scheduled ones, but there are a number of other community calls that will be continuing through the summer break, at least in the Northern Hemisphere for ourselves. These things are like for the adaptive cards, Microsoft Identity Platform, Office add-ins, Power Apps, and more. Feel free to find all the different links on here. But again, if you want to find all the different recurrent invites, you can go to aka.ms/m365/calls to go and find all those different information pieces. And great ways to actually get started in the Microsoft 365 developer platform. We have our M365 developer program, where you can be able to get a free E5 sandbox environment. Great way to actually be able to test out as an administrator, so you can have all the access that you need to go and develop your solutions, to deploy them, to see what they actually look like in a demo environment. Note, this is not for production use. It is only for your own personal development purposes. You can find more at aka.ms/m365/dev program. And additionally, we have a number of different learning materials. You can go into aka.ms/m365/dev/learn. Lots of great different training modules, different learning paths that you can go and learn all the different pieces you need. And these are all available to you for free. So there is no payment required for these. Great ways to get plugged in and see what's available within the ecosystem. If you're looking to stay up with the latest and greatest of what's going on in the ecosystem, we also have two podcasts that are great for you to be able to join into. The first is the Microsoft 365 Developer Podcast, run by Jeremy Thake and Paul Schaeflein. In this, they'll cover different highlights and news. They'll do interviews with various guests. Great way to kind of see what's going on with the environment and be able to hear from folks who are experts, folks who are product managers, internal Microsoft, and many, many more. Also, we have the Microsoft 365 PMP Weekly, hosted by Vesa and Waldeck. Great way to kind of see as well what are different things that are going on. Got a lot of community folks who are joining in for interviews, sharing their thoughts, perspectives, highlights, and things that they're working on. You can find more about this at aka.ms/pmpweekly or with the podcast on pmpweekly.podbean.com. Now, we do also want to highlight our samples gallery. As we mentioned, lots of great things you can see out here for actually being able to test this actually in your own environments. Again, you can make use of that great M365 developer tenant that is available to you and deploy these various samples into your own environment. We just crossed over 1,065 samples that are out there. So again, we're continuing to track higher and higher. Great that we passed the 1,000 mark not too long ago, and we're continuing to gain steam going higher and higher with this. If you'd like to find more, you can go to aka.ms/m365/samples to find more about the samples galleries. And we'll turn things over to David to talk a little bit about our Sharing is Caring initiative.
Thanks, Brian. And friends, as you may have seen, there were over 1,000 samples that Brian talked about, and you may ask, how did all of them get there? By amazing contributors like yourself. The Sharing is Caring program is here to provide you guidance on how you can contribute to those samples, amongst a number of other things, actually. We're going to provide you hands-on guidance to where, if you've never done a GitHub pull request, we'll walk you through it. If you'd like to present on one of the community calls, we'll give you some tips and tricks. If you're just getting set up in the community and the technology, we've got some guidance for you. These are live, hands-on sessions, safe space. We don't record them. They're wonderful opportunities to collaborate with other members of the community, ask questions, get involved, see how you can start doing more with the technology that's available to you. You can go register for sessions at ak.ms/sharingiscaring. Brian, back to you.
Now, we do like to take a lap around the different blogs that are available to see what's new, what's the latest and greatest in the Microsoft 365 developer ecosystem. We have 2 news articles out here. The first one is building real-time collaborative apps with Microsoft 365, Azure, and Power Platform. Aisha did a nice wrap up of the different videos that have been produced for this. We've actually got 4 in the series, and we show you how to use a number of different things that are available inside of Microsoft 365, Power Platform, Azure, and other areas. Great way to combine these things together into a very cohesive and very user-centric kind of application out there. So feel free to take a look at the blog posts out there and see all the different resources that are available. And over on the Microsoft Viva side of the house, we do have a new community group that's available on LinkedIn. If you'd like to join in to get various different communications, announcements, sharing of insights, all the kind of things like this, there's a great way that you can join into this. Take a look at the blog posts out there, join into the community, feel free to contribute back and share with others. We'd love to hear your contributions and other things being shared in with there as well. And just as another reminder, it is coming close to Build season, Microsoft Build, which is one of our developer conferences. So you will see that some of the news is a little bit lighter in these coming weeks preceding to that, but there will be probably an explosion of news as we get right up to Build. So look forward to more in the coming weeks. And I'll turn things over to Surbi to talk a little bit about the Teams platform docs updates.
Thank you, Brian. Hello, everyone. I'll walk you through the platform and documentation updates. Let's start with the platform updates on the left. We've published a new sample which showcases how to use People Picker using Microsoft Teams Client SDK. This uses Microsoft Teams.public.people.selectPeople method, which allows selecting people from specific contexts like group chat, team, and tenant. You can find the report link here. Now let's move to the doc updates on the right. We've included clickable icons in our docs to enhance visual experience. This would give you a snapshot of what we offer in an article without having to scroll through the entire article, and you'd be able to get the information at a click of a button. So these were the platform updates. If you have any feedback or suggestion, please post on aka.ms Teams platform feedback. The link is available in the footer. You could also follow us on Twitter and configure to the RSS feeds to get regular platform updates. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the update, Surbi. Really appreciate that and look forward to more in the coming weeks. As I mentioned just a minute ago, Microsoft Build is very, very close to us, just a few short weeks away. It'll be happening from May 24th through 26th. Registration is now open, so feel free to sign up for all the various different sessions that you would like. We are starting to publish the schedule out there, so if you're interested in the various keynotes, the different breakout sessions, we also have a number of different community connection points. If you're looking for product roundtables, if you're looking for one-on-one consultations with Microsoft professionals, lots of different great things are available to you. Find more information at mybuild.microsoft.com. Register today and reserve your spot. And we'll turn things over to Vesa to give us a little bit of an update on the M365 platform and community.
Thank you, Brian. So just a quick recap. So once again, we published the latest monthly summary on what's happening within the Microsoft 365 platform community. You can find this from the official Microsoft 365 platform community blog. That URL, there is a simpler URL than that one as well. Now, that will be redirected already to the new blog. Now, we're doing some changes. Before we go to the following slides, and just to recap on the issue here, we are doing some changes related on the blog platform. So the blog platform is moving to a new location. documentation. We are have updated all of the AKMS addresses to address that, and that's mainly to make it available for all of the community members to contribute within this block as well. So making it easier to maintain and update the information in here. And just to recap, we do apologize to lobby challenge and the missing chat today. That is related on a expiration of a one service account, which I just got confirmed that unfortunately that account has been expired. We are working on fixing that for next Tuesday, so that should be sorted out. If you download the recurrent invite from the community call from the platform community site, you can actually and use the AKMS addresses, you will get to the right call and right invite next week as well. So just to recap on that. Now let's go to the following slide. As always, we do have a lot of monthly contributors within our open source and community efforts. This time we are again in 4 different slides starting from A to D, and we're not going to call out all of you people. We would love to be able to do that, but that would take the whole hour. So that's from A to D. Let's go to the following slide. That is all of the people between E to K. So a lot of people. I did not even calculate how many people have been involved within the last month, but thank you for all of your contributions. We are so much better as we do this together. This is from L to P. And as said so many times, our community efforts are there so that we as a Microsoft know what you need and what is what is missing. So super critical piece, and all of this is for you letting us know what's missing so we can address those gaps and make it easier for you to use the Microsoft 365 platform across all of the different awesomeness what we have available. And that's from R to C for all of the names. And then on the following slide, we have all of the names of the companies which we have permission to show the logo who've been involved in the last month. So these are companies from those people who have contributed. If your company is not here and you would like to have your company mentioned in here, you can send a permission to me or David in email, and we'll set up that logo to be available in the next monthly release. And let's go to the following slide, which is a big long list of Microsoft people. So of course, this is not just the external people. We want to obviously acknowledge the Microsoft people who are using evenings and weekends to contribute in our open source channels as well. So thank you for them as well. So once again, if this might be actually, let's see how we can actually do the picture time today, because we might actually have a problem of some of the external people joining. We do apologize the situation. We will redo the invite pretty fast. We have a problem related on the original invite right now, but we are working on that. But let's see if I can actually get the together mode in place. And share my screen. And let me try that one more time. There we go. We can see quite a few people actually already in here, so that's good. Getting there, and I need to actually start my recorder. 1 second. And we do know that for some of you, it might be unfortunately not possible to enable the screen right now, so that might be a bit of a bummer. I will do my camera on, and then we'll do a quick recording. I guess we are hitting the limit of people who can actually join, but let's do some hand waving, everybody, for saying thank you for being part of the community. And as said already quite a few times, we know that there's the lobby problem. We'll get on working on that one. But thank you, everybody. Awesome GIF animation to be able to catch from that one. Thank you for being part of the community. And let's get back to you, Brian.
Excellent. Let's go ahead and share back out the slides. All right, excellent to have our picture time. Now we'll move into our main course for the meeting. We'll talk with Namrata to give us a little bit about extending Teams search-based message extensions into Outlook, as well as David talk a little bit about getting started with Azure Communication Services. Namrata, we'll turn things over to you first. The floor is yours.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. Let me get my screen up. So
Perfect.
Super excited to be on this call today. It's my first time presenting to this audience, so really happy to be here and equally excited to be sharing the features I'll be talking about today. I'm Namrata Khubchandani, a PM with the Microsoft 365 team here, and we work on creating platforms and opportunities for our developers to integrate their solutions and apps with Microsoft 365. Joining me on the call are my colleagues, Vikrant, again from the Microsoft PM team, and Ashish from our engineering team. And together we'll try to answer any questions from you on this today. What I'll be talking to you about today is how you can extend your existing search message extensions in Teams to Outlook. If you were with us in last year's Build and Ignite sessions, this was previously announced there and might be a bit of a refresher. But if not, I am here to cover this in detail today. So let's dive right into the agenda. I'll be focusing on 4 key topics, starting with an overview of what message extensions are, then moving on to our vision of bringing the search-based message extensions to Outlook, and finally talking about how you can bring your search message extensions to Outlook with a demo. Let's get started on the first key point. I'm sure most of us are familiar and have probably even created message extensions in Teams, but I would like to start off by talking a little about what message extensions are for anyone who's not had a chance to work very closely with them yet. So message extensions in Teams today enable you to bring your app content and interactions right within Teams chat and conversations, providing seamless and connected experiences to our mutual users. These can be of 2 different types. The first one being search message extension that allows our users to search external systems and find information and insert that content in the form of rich cards. And the second being action message extension that allows you to present users with a model pop-up of sorts that can collect or display information, process that interaction with the user, and finally send that back to Teams in the form of rich actionable cards. Before we get into how we're extending the search-based message extension capability to Outlook, let's also take a quick example and understand what are the kind of scenarios that search-based message extension light up in Teams today. So we'll consider a simple fictitious app from the Northwind company. It's an order management app that, as you can see on the right side, allows its users to search for orders and share details to collaborate within and outside their teams. So as you can see in the first screen on the top, the user is pulling up the Northwind search message extension integration, searching for a particular order to share the details with his colleague. And given that our users are spending so much time within Teams collaborating and working through their day, this message extension is making it extremely easy for them to get work done in context without leaving Teams. Now, moving on to our vision of building a single, simplified, and unified app ecosystem within Microsoft 365. And as part of that vision, we're bringing search message extensions to Outlook. Now, what does that mean for all of us here? So what it means is we will be able to extend your existing search-based message extension integrations in Teams to Outlook with just minimal, simple configurational settings. This will allow you to engage more users outside of Teams with your same message extension solution, essentially allowing you to build the solution once and deploy it to Outlook as well. As you can see again on the right side of my screen, the same Northwind message extension that we saw in Teams on the earlier slide is brought to Outlook, and the user can search for the same order and share it on email to collaborate with maybe external partners or teams, allowing the same seamless content sharing experience brought to Outlook and making it easier for them to collaborate across other touch points in Microsoft 365 as well. Before I get into what steps you need to do to follow and enable this search message extension in Outlook, I want to share that we are already in public preview, public developer preview for this feature, and our users in the targeted release in Outlook for Web or the preview channels for Outlook for Windows can already play with this experience today. Now let me shift gears and get into how you can achieve this for your existing search-based message extensions with a few simple steps. The first one being updating your app manifest to the M365 Dev Preview. You can do this manually or even using the Teams toolkit. That's step one. Step 2 is adding an Outlook channel for your bot. And again, this can be done through the Azure portal or even through the Bot Framework portal if you've previously registered there. And that's all it takes. You can then sideload your updated app in Teams, and that should do it in lighting that experience up in Outlook as well. So all of these steps I will be covering in a demo in my environment as well. But before we get into that, I just want to call out that I've listed a few prerequisites for you to be able to try this with your search message extensions. And we'll share the link to a document that gives all of this information in detail towards the end as well. Let's now look at a quick demo that puts those 3 steps that we saw into action. And I'll show you what I did in my environment to take my search-based message extensions in Teams and extend that to Outlook with the same process. So I've recorded a quick working demo, and let me play that for you. So here's my Teams environment and the Northwind order management app. I am going to use that to search for an order and insert the content in the form of a card to share all the relevant details with my colleague who was just following up on this order with me. That's essentially how it works in Teams today. Let me now switch over and show you. In my Visual Studio environment, I'm going to make the first step change, that is, replace the existing manifest version to M365 Dev View. And I'm going to zip all of these together to create a new app package, which would then be ready for me to load to Teams. That should do it. Now on step 2, let's move over to the Azure portal. As you can see, for my message extension, it is working in Teams. So I have the Teams channel naturally added here. And I'm going to scroll down and add Outlook. So I'll switch over to the Message Extensions Developer Preview tab. Let me go ahead and apply those changes. Okay, let's make sure it's reflecting real quick. Okay, there it is. Now let's switch over and sideload that updated package with the updated manifest version that we created in Jackett. That's Untitled app. And let's go ahead and deploy it to Teams. And yes, that should do it. So next I'll switch over to my Outlook for Web and show you how that same Northwind search message extension will reflect here. So I'm composing a new email to my delivery partner, and I want to follow up on the same order, check the status. And our message extension, the Northwind, should service now an email as well. I'm going to go ahead and search for the same order that I did earlier. That's the result. And that's my card inserted in to share in email context as well. So essentially, my search-based message extension is now lighting up in Outlook, all through just simple configurational settings. So that was a quick demo, and hopefully that interests you in trying out your search-based message extension in Outlook as well. I would also like to quickly summarize what's already available in public preview and what's coming soon. So essentially, the search-based message extension that we saw in my Outlook for Web, this is something we have in public preview, both for Outlook for Web and Outlook for Windows. And as I touched upon earlier, our users who are enrolled in the targeted release program can play around with these today. Just talking a little about what we're bringing next for public preview, we'll be adding link unfurling support for these search message extensions in Outlook. So the users will now be able to paste a link to invoke the same message extension if it supports it, and then add essentially the same rich cards as a preview to those links. We are also adding support for consume scenarios for search message extension cards that would be received on mobile clients. So that's also something you should look forward to. We also want to call out one very, very critical thing. I think Brian mentioned it earlier, but just echoing it again. We recommend that you register for Build and look forward to more such new announcements for search message extensions coming to Outlook. We plan to cover more in-depth sessions, share further examples, and more useful resources. So we'll really look forward to seeing you there. I would also like to cover 2 quick links, which I believe will be very useful for the group. The first one is the documentation around how you can extend your search message extension to Outlook. So essentially the 3 steps that I covered earlier and in the demo, these are outlined in more detail. And the second link is the aka.ms/VS Teams Toolkit. So leaving those for you, and we'll try to share those offline as well. In case of any questions or support needed beyond this, we are more than happy to answer and be available. So you can reach out to me at my email address that you see there, namrata@microsoft.com, and we would be happy to take any further questions. And finally, before I hand off back to Brian, I also want to thank our community members for their continuous engagement and feedback through this all. We couldn't possibly achieve all this without you, so really, thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Namrata. Excellent. I will say that was by far the best transition I've seen, going from live presentation to the video and then right back into your slides. If I didn't know better, I would not have known there was actually a video planned in there. So thank you so much for sharing all this. This is great information. And echoing again, please do register for Microsoft Build. We look forward to seeing folks there, joining the sessions, joining into the consultations, all the other different community events that are going on. And with that, we'll turn things over to David to talk to us a little bit about using Azure Communication Services. David, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. So it's my time to share my screen. So you should be able to see it. So hello, thanks for welcoming me. Hello to the community. My first time to doing presentation on this show. I'm working in the developer division, named DevDiv as a program manager. So we are working on VS Code, Visual Studio, GitHub, and some Azure services. And my team is working on the developer experience of Teams and ACS, so Azure Communication Services. So we are working on the Teams toolkit, for instance, that is being just mentioned before. So today we'd like to give you a slight overview of what is ACS and what you could do in your app and web apps, more specifically to enable audio video using the Teams infrastructure. But first, let's discover what is Azure Communication Services. So I don't know if you already heard about this service. So it's an Azure service that is fully managed by Microsoft, meaning that it's going to scale, it's going to use a secure infrastructure, it's going to be compliant, and also it's going to provide lots of great features on top of it. For instance, audio video, maybe you already built yourself some web RTC platform yourself, and you probably know that this is not that easy to make it secure and scalable. So this is basically like a service you can use on the Azure side to enable this kind of experience for your users. And there is various features available for you as a developer when you like to use this platform. First is video. This is today what we're going to cover, audio, video, chat, also like the same one that you have chat in Teams, and also SMS, text messaging. You can also send some SMS using the platform or do regular phone calls, I would say, using the old telephony network. Using this service to have a number exposed, people could call you on this number. So it's using the same infrastructure as Microsoft Teams, meaning that Microsoft Teams is even built on top of this infrastructure. So it means that you can reuse the same scalability and quality of the platform for yourself to include that into your own app, could be a web app or any kind of app. And obviously, this is something really important that I've been asked by some of our customers is to be secure and compliant. We have a lot of laws to be compliant to, and by default, this platform will enable that for you. So as I was telling you, Azure Communication Services, also known as ACS, is powering up Microsoft Teams, some Dynamics 365 service, but also your custom app. This is what we're going to see today. So to build your custom app, obviously you have SDKs, you have various SDKs available. Normally, whatever your favorite language or platform, you should be covered. So we have .NET, obviously, but we have also JavaScript, iOS, and Android. We have also some Python's support. So it means that you could use those SDKs to be able to connect to the platform and to enable audio, video, but also to send some SMS if you like to. And later on the future talk, you will be able to see some demo about SMS in a future talk. So no need to be an engineer on telecom. Everything is being managed by the platform. So let's switch to the demo. So everything is going to be live. So let's hope that the demo god will be with me. You can go to this page if you like to, eke.ms/SES quick test, and it will land on this page, which is a static page. That's going to show you the very basic experience you may start with when you like to use the service. So what it's going to ask you is a token. Obviously, to have access to the SES platform, you need to prove that you have an access token. There is some kind of secure layer on top of it. So the first question is that the sample is asking you, like, can you please provide me a token, a security token? So for that, you need to go into the Azure portals and first to create an SES resource. So if you don't know how to create an Azure Communication Service resource, in this simple page, you will be able to see how to create one in your existing Azure subscription. And once you are inside the SES blade, you will have there identities and user access tokens, a way to generate security tokens. So you have to choose, like, do you want to generate a token for a user just to do voice and video calling, or do you want also to enable chat, or and vice versa? You can, be precise. Let's generate a token, and this is the internal, I would say, identity and security of SES, because as a developer, then you will have access to that and be able to map that to whatever internal identity system you may have. In my case, I'm going just to copy the user access token. I'm going to paste it into this specific string, and then I can choose a camera. So obviously I'm currently using one camera for this Teams call, so I've got another camera there, and I can use other type of mic or input. And what I would advise you the first time you will try the service is to try to call the EchoBot. Unfortunately, I think I need to share my screen again. You're going to understand why. I just forgot to enable audio sharing. So it should be back. And now I'm sharing the audio of my PC. So in this case, I'm going to call the EchoBot.
Hello, welcome to Azure Communication Services audio testing system. To test your call quality, record a short message after the beep, then the message will be played back to you.
So I'm using the second camera, and I'm using like kind of a fake audio recording for the test. And if it works, we should be able to. And I'm using like kind of a fake audio recording for the test. So I can hang up the call. It worked. So it means that I passed the first test, was generate a token from the Azure portal, give it to the SDK, which is there the JavaScript SDK of ACS, and it managed to do a call to the SES infrastructure to check that everything is working fine. So enabling the camera and sending some audio. So obviously this is not super impressive yet, but we're going to see how to make some communication between two users. To be able to call another user using this web page, you need to have various identity. And you see that the internal identity grid is not super easy to share. So I've been working on a sample that I'm going to show you to simply use the SDK of SES and map that on social accounts. For instance, you can log on using your Twitter, GitHub, Google, or whatever account to be able to generate this kind of token. And then it would be easy for me to call someone using the email address of someone rather than remember this type of grid. So this sample is there, and I will show you where it is, on my GitHub repo. So the first part is using Azure Static Web App and Azure Function that's got some embedded authentication layer for free, meaning that I didn't have to write any line of code to have support for instance, Twitter or Microsoft. So I'm going to log on with my Microsoft account. So davros@microsoft.com, which is my email address. So basically the same experience as before. We will jump into the code after to let you have a look how it works. I need to choose the camera once again. So I'm going to use my right camera once again. And now I need to either call someone or I need to be called by someone else. So I'm going to use my iPhone this time as a third camera. So you need many cameras when you're doing this kind of debugging experience. So what I've connected to the same page, and what I've typed, in this specific text box is my email address. And what the Azure function is going to do is when I will search for this email address, it's going to dig into the Cosmos DB attached, looking for the internal ACS ID, and then we'll resolve in a way the email with the proper identity and connect the two devices together. So if it works, I'm going to press the Start Call button. So you see that the UI is super basic intentionally, meaning that we will see in the future like how to improve the UI part. You see that the access button was ungraded, meaning if I now clicking the accept call button, now you can see that this is my iPhone, and then there is a second camera there working. So I've been able to connect the two devices together, and I can then hang up the call on the other side. So meaning I've been able to build the very basic experience of connecting two users through the ACS infrastructure, which is the very same as Microsoft Teams. So before trying something live that I never tried before with this kind of meeting, let's have a look to the source code. So first, what you need to do, and you will have access to those samples anyway on my GitHub repo, but if you're doing that from scratch, obviously you need to install some specific NPM package that we are going to provide, which are communication command and communication calling. Having those type of package, it will be fairly easy for you to generate a call. You have to create an instance of the call client, which is coming from the ACS command library. Then you're going to take the user token that you have to copy paste in the layout to generate a second object named Azure Communication Token Credential. That's going to be provided to create call agent. So you can provide a display name if you like to. Once you've been able to do that, if this line of code is working, you've been able to connect to the ACS infrastructure. And the next part is simply a way to check the number of camera you have, the number of mic or speakers to let the user being able to choose all of them. And using this call agent, then you have events that you've seen in a way. If I've got an incoming call, what I like to do. So in my case, I wanted to, ungray one of the button and gray another one, disable another one to be able to let the user accept the call. And then once it's being done, you have call being available. So you just have to copy paste this kind of calls to be able to create a layout to view the different videos source. Just why I also decided to create this sample code for you. If you like to call someone, you have to use the start call function, which is pretty obvious. If you like to call the EchoBot, like we've seen, you have to provide this specific parameter. If you like to call another user, like I did using my iPhone and my second camera, you have to provide, this specific ID we've seen in the portal before, this one. So you need to provide this one. And this is what I did using my Azure Static Web App code. But we can also call someone directly in Teams doing interop. As we are using the same infrastructure of Microsoft Teams, it would be awesome. Like if you build your web app, imagine you're building a web app to connect external user to your internal Teams infrastructures. They could go on a specific web page using SES. You can have any kind of UI you like. And using the SDK, you can call someone in your company using Teams. So it's going to be completely transparent for this user to have an incoming call from your web page using SES. So for that's why I've copy-pasted this the link to the today's meetings, and I'm going to try it live. So let's have a look. So I'm still using the correct camera. This time I'm going to copy-paste the link there. And if it's going to work, I should be in the lobby. So you can see that someone is in the lobby. This is me coming from my web page. I'm going to admit myself. And I should be somewhere. I don't know where, but I should be somewhere. You can see I'm being able to connect to this Microsoft Teams meeting that is hasn't been configured for that. Like it's completely transparent. I can see also my screen being shared there. So it's like Inception in a way now. But you see that using a single line of code, I've been able to move to connect to my web page, very simple web page, to an existing Teams meeting. Like any kind of Teams meeting should be compatible with this SDK. So super convenient. Just as we have a little bit of time, if you are interested in understanding how I managed to map the identity, you know, the social identity, which is Twitter, GitHub, or Google, to the SES identity, I've got a Cosmos DB, you know, table there. When, for instance, I can see various users that try to connect to my page. For instance, the fake Bill Gates account, just for fun, that tried to connect from his Twitter. And you can see that I have the user token, like the same kind we've seen there in the portal. But also we have the famous, you know, complex internal GUID that the Azure function is going to get with a simple query. So this is done in my code simply in the Azure function there. I've got a way to do a lookup there in my Azure function, which is in JavaScript also. That is going to use the SES connection string and try to resolve everything, to create the user and try to resolve everything. So you will have access to this source code if you're going there, which is github.com/davros, which is my alias at Microsoft /SES out. So I can copy paste it there. And you will have inside it a final sample that I'm going to show in a video just after that. But to do a teasing for the next talk that will be done by a colleague of mine named David too, working in the Azure Communication Services engineering team this time. If you like to improve this very basic experience, we are providing like React library, a UI library for you to be able to have the same kind of look and feel that, you know, Microsoft Teams, for instance. So once again, I can use, you know, my camera, turn the video on, unmute myself, and stuff like that. And David will show you more how to basically, if you like to, recreate your own version of Microsoft Teams using that. So my final demo will be via a video to show you how far you can go using this SES SDK. So what I'm going to show you is a VR environment built on top of Babylon.js. Babylon.js is a 3D engine I've been creating a long time ago and used by Microsoft today. For instance, the art and applause icon you have in Microsoft Teams is using Babylon.js, but it can do VR too. And what I'm going to show you in this video, I'm going to be in VR in my headset and connect in the same way I've just done before to an existing Teams meeting. So hello, I am in this virtual museum inside a metaverse running on top of WebXR and Babylon.js. And let's imagine I like to visit this museum with a lot of paintings, but I could be quickly lost because I'm not really an expert in arts. So I've included an option, which is really cool, being able to call someone over Teams. So what I'm going to do, I'm using Azure Communication Services to be able to call someone inside Microsoft Teams. So it's a regular Microsoft Teams, nothing special about this version. And I'm going to press the call button, and I'm going to establish a connection with this beautiful woman. So normally, I should be in the lobby in the other side, and she should be able to accept me. And as soon as she's accepted me, so hello, Christina. So Christina is my girlfriend, so she helped me to do this demonstration. And Christina, can you please help me to go inside this museum because I'm a little bit lost?
Yes, of course. Could you please go in front of you and go closer to the wall that's on the right or on in the big room? Do you see it?
Okay, I'm going to take you with me on my controller. It will be easier, so I'm going to take you there. So is it on my right?
Oh, yes. Look at the picture on your right, just the first one. It looks so beautiful.
This one?
Yeah.
So what do you think? Should we buy it? Do you like it too?
It depends on the number of the zero after.
Don't worry, it's not the price, it's the when it was made. So I don't know about the price. Maybe we should discuss about that later on. So, but it's great. We agreed on this one. So as you can. So what we've been able to do in this scenario was a kind of a virtual visit. Just imagine now you're buying a house, you like to go with, the sales representative, and I was putting the video feed instead of putting that in a classical HTML page, but in 3D on my arm, on my VR controller, and we could visit a museum or a house together with my wife. In this case, she was able to even, have some video outputs in Teams of the scene being rendered in my headset. So you will have access to this sample code too on the GitHub. So the use case, so metaverse is a little bit sci-fi maybe, even if you can see it's already working. We've been thinking about telemedicine, like being able to have people connecting to your web page and be able to connect to a doctor using Teams, for instance, using the interrupt feature. Financial advisory, a lot of people are using that for remote services and support, obviously, to be able to call someone using ACS, and also for education, like we've seen during the COVID, it was super useful to have this kind of tool. So if you'd like to get started today, you can go on aka.ms/communication-services-overview, or go on my GitHub to replay the same demo at home. Thank you so much.
Wow, David, that was quite the demonstration. We're getting lots of applause, lots of hearts, lots of surprised emojis on there.
Thank you.
This felt a lot. If anyone's familiar with the Douglas Engelbart, he had the mother of all demos back in the 60s. This felt like a mini version of that, just showing all the different pieces along the way. So thank you so much for sharing this. This is great.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
All right, let's go back to our slides. We'll wrap up with the last couple of little announcements on here. Thank you for everyone joining in today. We really appreciate all of your enthusiasm, all of your reactions, all of your questions. Really great to see that on there. As always, our recordings will be available within the next 24 hours on the Microsoft 365 community, the PMP YouTube channel. You can find that at aka.ms/m365pmp/videos. Please subscribe today so you get the latest announcements as they come out on there. Also, follow along with us on Twitter. You can find us at Microsoft 365 Dev or M365PMP. Both of those are very active in posting out things that we have news and announcements. And our next platform call will be on May 17th at 8 a.m. Pacific time. You can find the link to this invite as well as many others at aka.ms/M365PMP. Thank you all so much for your time today. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you, and have a good day.